Hey there guys, welcome back to Danganronpa V3. God damn this guy. First of all, actually before I get into that, let me go ahead and just say that sorry that last episode didn't actually have game sounds going on. It was actually really stupid. So Windows 10 had an update, and so I updated, and while I was recording I could see the recording bar going up and down as though it was getting an input, and I was like, oh cool, so it actually is working. And then you heard what happened. I don't know what the hell it was reacting to. It certainly made it look like it could hear it just fine. But we fixed it. We're back to having good sound. My bad.
Huh?
What are you doing?
Oh?
It's a little harder for the blood loss. Yeah, this is real blood.
Why?
Okay, so what are you doing? I got curious about something, so I decided to search the empty room next door. And then suddenly, I stepped through the floorboard. Which room next door?
So mean.
That got me good, because I tripped and fell pretty hard.
Got a minute?
If you're going to lose consciousness, do it after you tell us everything.
Ah.
Sorry, my bad. I guess there was no crosspiece supporting the floorboard, so I kind of stepped through. That's pretty bad luck. Oh damn, that's all I had to do to get to the end of the chapter? Holy shit. Did not plan on that happening that quickly.
Confidence! Dreams! That's what the Killing Game is all about! Killing Game fans! Hold your head high and watch with your own two eyes!
I will do that.
Baseball, soccer, mobile games! They're all nothing compared to the Killing Game! The Killing Game just can't be beat!
The Killing Game is such a treat.
Behold, students! The entrance to the trial grounds!
I guess time's up. I mean, you guys didn't have time to check something.
See?
I wanted to research that seance again, so I brought the document with me. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything new that could be used as a clue. Kyo's perfectly reenacted the seance from what was written in the documents. He drew his magic circle the same exact way as the picture. Not only that, he used the same exact tool. Nothing suspicious about the whole thing. I want to check the finer details, but I'll tell you about it later. At the class trial. So I'll see you there. Let's go too.
That's true.
Is Maki nervous? I see. So even she is nervous sometimes. Stop saying that, Maki. Okay. So now the question becomes and remain. Where's Maki? She's staying right at the edge of my field, but I don't see her. That's super creepy, actually. She's not moving, but it says she's right there. And now I've put her into space. That is so weird. Okay, so let's think about this logically. So of our viable suspects, for Angie's killing, Angie's killing could only have really been perpetrated by members of student council. So Gonta, Kibo, Himiko, Samugi, and technically Tenko. And then Tenko's killing really could have only been Kibo from what I can tell. So, I mean, let's go through it. It's going to have to be someone that could get under the floorboards and had sufficient time and knowledge of the ritual. So, I feel as though Kaito is not getting anywhere freaking close to that ritual room. He was scared as hell. he also had no real... I feel like he's slightly too big to get under the floorboards and pull that off. Gonta is definitely too big to get under the floorboards and pull that off. Kokichi is a possibility, for sure. Korekiyo could have pulled off... Really, Korekiyo is innocent. Of both murders, there's no way. There's no way he did the first murder because Angie would have let him in. There's no way he did the second murder because he was actively in the seance room. Same thing goes for Kokichi. He was actively in the seance room, so he couldn't have been under the floorboards as well. Himiko could not have done it. She was actively in there. Maki is possible. However, the big thing we have to consider is that whoever performed the second murder would have had to know the seance was going to occur, which means they probably have to be the same person that did the first murder, or at the very least be aware of the first murder. Maki was not aware of the first murder, and neither was Kaito. So that makes both of them kind of impossible. I mean, they could have done the first murder, but they have no way in. So we can kind of narrow our list of suspects to people who had a way in. Gonta could have gotten in, but he could not have fit under the floorboards. Because I am working off the premise that both murders were done by the same person. Kokichi could not have done the second murder. Could not have done the second murder. Definitely possible, was on the student council, was aware of the seance going on, and, you know, was aware of the positioning of the ring. So he could have very, very easily done that. The real problem I'm running into is how would they like cut beforehand, but anyone that went in and actually studied that diagram could have probably predicted where it would have been. So I feel like that blood that's underneath was from whoever, you know, cut out the cross beams in order to give themselves a way under, and they must have accidentally cut themselves while they were cutting out. That's what that dried blood was about. She was in the seance. It can't be her. Maki is possible but unlikely because she could not have pulled off the first murder. Samuki is certainly a possibility. She was on the student council. She was aware of the circle. So my best guess right now is Kibo followed by Samuki. But that is my guess as of the moment of recording. I'm actually... So here's a little thing I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off the recording and go through the evidence and try and figure everything out and come back with my updated theory after I do that. One of the things that I have done in the past, and it's kind of bit me in the butt, is I usually only give myself about 10 minutes to figure out the crime once I collect all the evidence. Because I kind of feel like in terms of the story, you only actually have a little bit of time before Monokuma calls you to the trial. And I always thought that was a little bit more realistic. But it also meant that I ended up not actually figuring out who the culprit was both times. And every single freaking time someone comes back and is like, well, other people figured it out. And so I'm like, well, damn it, if this is a competition with other YouTubers, why am I shooting myself in the foot by saying an arbitrary time limit? So I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go through every piece of evidence, figure out how it fits into the overall plot as best I can, figure out how it works into the overall plot, and yeah. Okay, I will be back with an updated theory. We're back. I spent a lot of time looking over the evidence. I thought about it. I mulled over it. And I'm frustrated because so this is going to sound super egotistical, and I apologize. I was kind of like absolutely sure that if I took the time, I could figure it out. And I have two primary suspects, but neither of them really satisfy me. Okay, so let me go over this. From what I can tell, there are three major things that you need in order to have committed this crime. First of all, we can assume that the two crimes are closely related because the cross piece that supports the loose floorboards that the room the seance was held in was deliberately cut off. Additionally, Kokichi found the cross piece was cut off in the neighboring room. So someone very, very intentionally did that. Plus, this one actually had like dried blood nearby. So it was done. It was done recently, and it was done. It was done somehow related to Angie's murder, because there was still the person either had Angie's blood on their hands or was actively bleeding themselves. But it was not part of this current crime because the blood was already dry. Because of that, whoever cut this crosspiece out knew a seance was going to happen. And that only makes sense if they were aware of Angie's murder, meaning they were either Angie's murderer or somehow they knew that Angie had been killed. And I saw absolutely no evidence that there was another party involved in Angie's murder, so I have to assume it's the same killer for both. So, the three things that are required then are the person has to have been able to kill Angie, which that eliminates Kaito, Korekiyo, Maki, and Miyu. The person has to have been aware that following Angie's death there would have been a seance. That seems to eliminate everyone except for Kokichi, Korekiyo, and I'm going to say possibly Himiko and Samugi. Samugi is an ultimate cosplay person. She is very, very, very involved in anime, and there's a lot of occult anime out there. Himiko is the ultimate mage, and even if she's not really a mage and is just a trickster, she definitely would be very, very aware of this type of showmanship. And of course, you know, Korekiyo did the seance, and Kokichi was in there whenever we found the seance book. And then the third thing that you would need to be able to do is you would need to be able to actually be in a position to commit the second murder. This one is less helpful than I thought it was, though, because I would think that would mean that the 5 people involved in the procedure couldn't have done it, but that's not necessarily true. The crosspiece under the floor, the sickle under the floor was actually found underneath the hole in the corner. And to me, that actually kind of points to someone in the room itself, rather than someone that was like hiding under the floorboards and actually used the second room to get under there and get in position first. Because the hole in the corner is where you could drop the sickle down, assuming it would fit through there, and it looks like it probably would. If you were just going to be under the floorboards and crawl away, there's no reason you would move the sickle after you committed the crime. You would just crawl away and leave the sickle right where it was. But if you were actually, because what I think could have happened, let me now walk through what I think the 2 crimes were. Angie's crime I'm pretty damn sure of. Whoever it was got into Angie's room, stabbed her, inverted all of the effigies, stabbed the effigy, twisted the rope in order to cause it to get wound up, walked out the door, allowed the spinning effigy to like knock into the lock in order to lock it after they left. And then Tenko's murder could have either been done by someone under the floorboards. During the procedure, they move the floorboard out of the way. The moving of the floorboard shifts the weight distribution and causes the very, very heavy cage to like maneuver, which is what causes that kind of sound we heard. And then after they move the floorboard, they kind of reach up with the sickle, cut into the back of Tenko's neck, and then get out of there. Again, though, the fact that the sickle was underneath the hole seems to indicate this isn't what happened. What they could have also done is, theoretically, if they completely remove the crosspiece, like pull it all the way out, they could reach down into the hole, then like bend their arm and get the sickle back up and do the same thing. And when they pull the sickle back out, they drop it into the corner. The fact that we have, where is it? Yeah, the magic circle got trampled, so no one could tell if someone walked through it. Seems to indicate that's a possibility. So, that kind of, to me, indicates that it could possibly be someone in the room. So we end up with like a list of suspects that doesn't really match up perfectly, because the best suspect based on that evidence should be Himiko, because she was a student council member. She could get in there. She could, commit the crime. She also might have been aware a seance was coming, and she was in the room in order to actually commit the murder. So all logical evidence seems to point at her. However, a person that just about fits everything is also Kokichi. Kokichi is able to pick the lock, and therefore get into Angie's room. Although Kokichi doesn't actually need to do the whole convoluted thing to get the door to lock behind them, because they could just lock the door again, that could easily be a sense of diversion, which would, kind of be this whole thing was set up really dumb. I could have just locked the doors. It can't possibly be me. Because if there was no way for the person to get out, that basically only means Kokichi could have done it. Kokichi was also in the room, so has the possibility of doing what I said about, moving the board and reaching under there. And we know for an absolute fact Kokichi was aware of the seance, because he was in there whenever Korikiyo was talking about the seance, so he would have definitely known it. Kokichi also makes more sense due to the fact that he, for no real reason, was randomly investigating the room next door and found out another crosspiece had been removed, which doesn't really seem to be factoring into the crime all that much from where I'm sitting. But if it's also a diversion, just like the diversion of the locked, exit door and the gold leaf katana was, it makes sense for Kokichi to randomly go in there and run into it, because he's trying to, again, send the message that this crime was committed by someone under the floorboards. So I kind of like him as a suspect more than Angie, even though Angie meets the technical requirements better. They both, all three of them, have the possibility of doing it. But there's one factor that makes me uncomfortable with Kokichi, and that is the last piece of evidence we received. While he was talking to us, he also said he was looking over the seance, and he, for a little bit more evidence, and he found that everything was done exactly perfectly. But that's not actually true. There's one thing that really stands out to me about this seance. Draw the magic circle. Must place their forehead on a stone and curl up like a turtle. They must do this through the circle. After all four must make the following preparations. Place the iron cage over the speed medium. Finally, take care not to stop on the magic circle to finally turn off all the lights, make it completely dark. Stands will convince what's all stand in the corner. There is nothing in there that says that the person cannot move and cannot speak. But Kokichi made it a very, very big point of saying you absolutely cannot move once this begins, and you cannot say anything. There's nothing in the seance that says that. So the fact that he was so specific about it made me a little suspicious. The other thing is that the stone was placed by Kokichi. Why is that relevant? Because the thing that kind of bothers me about this entire setup is that for this to happen, okay, so whoever cut out the crossbeam had to know precisely where the summoning circle was going to be drawn, and precisely how Tenko was going to be oriented while inside the summoning circle. If the stone had been placed in a different location, they couldn't have moved the crossbeam and actually gotten to... She would have been in a terrible position. They couldn't have killed her with the sickle. And because of that, I feel like if Kokichi is the murderer, he got incredibly lucky. Or sorry, if Kokichi's the murderer, he got incredibly lucky, because he would have had to set up all this up the night before, and it would have been set up perfectly aligned with how Kokichi would have happened to draw the circle the next day. However, Kokichi fits into almost all of my requirements as well. He definitely knew about the circle. He had every bit of much opportunity to kill Tinko as Kokichi did. He was in the room just like Kokichi was. And he's the one who placed the stone, and he's the one who told her not to move. So it feels like he absolutely... It's interesting. Like I said, Himiko fits every single requirement I have. The evidence seems to point at her, but nothing else does. She acted a little bit suspicious in that she suddenly made up with Tinko, even though she hated her the day before. And I kind of initially suspected her. But at the end of the day, I don't see this as being something she could have set up as easily. And the whole idea of getting up there and hanging all that stuff, her entire character the entire time has been super lazy, and this was very intricate. So her character doesn't feel right despite all the evidence feeling like it's her. Kokichi feels correct. He also has access to everything that can get away with this. There's a few things that kind of point away from him, but it could all be diversion. All the evidence, logically, he is my pick. He is the one that seems to be the best suspect. But emotionally, Korekiyo feels appropriate. Korekiyo feels... The biggest issue I have with Kokichi and also with Himiko is they kind of have to summoning circle has to be set up just about perfect to just happen to allow them to do this. They could easily have set up the crime very, very, very effectively, but they could not have known how Korekiyo would have set up the circle. And again, a lot of attention was paid to the fact that everything was done according to plan, but it's just, I rewatched that scene and Korekiyo said like 2 different times, make sure you stay here, make sure you don't move, make sure you don't make a sound. Which could be part of the process, but it's not actually in the text. And I'm just like, that's suspicious. So I'm going to say, logically, it's Kokichi, but Korekiyo is a super, super, super big secondary possibility. It's emotionally, I feel like it's Korekiyo. Logically, I feel like it's Kokichi. And then Angie is my number 3, just because she just doesn't feel right to me. So with that, let's go into this trial. I'm sorry, I spent like 10 minutes talking about possibilities, but damn it. I thought a lot about this, and so when I'm eventually wrong, I want to at least be like, well, this is everything I was thinking about. Alright, let's get out of here. It looks like the weird stalking Maki is no longer stalking me. That was so odd that it just kind of continuously moved her position along with me. Alright, let's do this. Let's get her done. Okay, can you please walk through? It's not hard. Alright. I could have probably just teleported. I, again, was specifically looking for anyone that may be out of place or anyone else to talk to, because I really enjoy doing that, but there was nobody to be found. No one was locatable. Here we go. Hi, guys.
Oh, dear.
Well, it would appear that we have all gathered. But it seems there are less and less of us.
Oh.
Less friends mean it much harder to solve mystery.
Don't worry.
Don't worry, I'm sure you've gotten a little smarter by now, Gonta. Yeah, Gonta do best to help. I want you to graduate from super idiot level to at least Kaito level.
What?
Hey, what's that supposed to mean?
Okay?
More important, are you okay, Kaito? Yeah, I'm feeling better now. Man, Maki roll sure does pack a punch.
I don't know.
You don't need to worry about our dwindling numbers. Only dipshits have died so far. Miyu, talk bad about Kaede and I'm throwing you in the... Actually, you'd like that.
That being said,
That's a tall order, but try and use your brains this time so I don't have to use mine.
Hoo-yah!
These golden brain cells of mine are a gift to the entire world.
Unacceptable.
It's as though even every time you open your mouth, you become less likable.
Rest in peace.
Atua, please lend us your power.
But
It may be difficult for us to rely on Atua. That is actually true. The student council just lost 2 of its members. They're significantly less influential now. Considering what happened to Angie, whom Atua loved most of all.
well, you know.
She should have relied on Atua in the first place. But seriously, it is kind of funny seeing a robot believe in God, especially Atua.
I also,
So what? Robots can believe in God?
indeed.
Actually, even before I met Angie, I had a similar experience. Hearing voices, I mean. You might call it an inner voice. It tells me what to do whenever I'm in
Wait a
trouble.
minute.
How long are you going to say that for? Atua and ghosts don't matter right now.
Jeez.
Yeah, the trial this time's going to be rough. We're caught in Monokuma's trap, and Monokuma's actually back now.
That's right.
He probably made the fourth floor so scary on purpose to prevent me from investigating. God damn it, Kaito! The longer I go in this game, the more I like Kaito, and Maki is definitely growing on me as well.
I'm right already.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way.
Hey, so
Shuichi, say something. All right. So we'll talk to you, Mr. Suspect number 2. I actually just picked him because he was at the end, and then I realized that Suspect number 2 doesn't make any sense. Why did the seance fail? I never did figure out what. Because your person was already dead? And okay, let's talk to Suspect number 1. I respected Angie and Tinko since the moment we met. Look at me sobbing, crying
I'm
about
right
it.
already.
Besides, that was a lie,
It's a
wasn't
lie.
it? Yeah, he guys haven't figured it out already, so they're keeping up the act. And suspect number 3. Like, I actually do feel a little bit of genuine sadness from her.
damn.
This trial's gonna be rough. I couldn't do anything investigating.
Listen up.
Change your brains. Oh, you already said that.
Please wait.
It's true that I don't know if I can be taken to a god per se. I hear an inner voice guiding me when I don't know what to do. She explained why, but I believe that voice will lead me to hope as long as I listen to it. Does that mean that Kibo was actually written to be Makoto? So why the fuck is a robot talking about God anyway? It's unseemly.
You're so dumb.
I love it. You're so dumb. The inner voice is probably just a radio or something, like in taxis and
That
stuff.
is not funny.
Gonta. Gonta do his best to help. So in the end, the culprit really was. No, it's not. We can talk about that once the trial starts. And Maki roll.
Okay.
The two and Goso met. The culprit's among us. The other thing I want to mention briefly, the reason I kind of discounted the other members of the student council is that Gonta is simply too big to fit under there. Kibo, the only real thing we found out about Kibo is that he has big, like, he can light up the room, but there's no way he could have done that during the seance or we'd have seen him through the floorboards. So that doesn't make sense. And I kind of feel like they would have had to look through in order to sort of figure out where the... Although he does actually know where the board is, but he runs into the same problem as everyone else of not being able to do it beforehand. Himiko, we already talked about. She's number 3. Samugi is possible, but again, there was absolutely nothing that indicated her at all. Whereas everyone else kind of had a little bit of an indication. I guess Samugi would be my number 4. I wonder who keeps replacing that fountain top that he keeps breaking every time he opens this thing. Or is it magic? Just as we remained, the remaining survivors stepped aboard. Perhaps it was because there are a few of us. The elevator seemed to move faster. And so we fell faster and faster downwards to the black. I wonder if there are like multiple trial rooms. Each one has a different killing game set up nearby, or a different like execution set up nearby. That's why it seems to be going down faster. Light that shines on us from the other side, the bright light of our future, or is it hell?
Uh-oh.
They look really depressed. That's because there's even less participants now. Don't say they look depressed. You'll make Monodem sad. As much as I'd love to keep hearing this adorable back and forth,
Now then,
let's hurry up and get this started.
dream!
At last, class trial begin. Hope you enjoyed to your heart's content. Class trial is about to begin. Angie Yonaga, the ultimate artist. She created the Ultimate Academy Student Council to try and prevent the killing game. And Tinko Chibashira, the ultimate Aikido master. She hated men, but I knew she hated this terrible killing game even more. Two were killed are both trying to stop the killing. And who was the one that killed them? Suspect number 3. Was it one person? Suspect number 2. 2 different people. Suspect number 1. In order to live, we have to find the truth. And so, I will fight it. I will fight the truth and lies in this class trial. Now with that, I'll go ahead and end this episode, but after I spent literally like probably 15 minutes talking about the different things that I thought, I am not going to be mean enough to you guys to end the episode here, or to end the thing here. I'm going to go ahead and play the class trial, and you will see the entire thing in normal hour increments for the rest of the day. So look forward to that, guys. That's why there was a couple of breaks while I had to record everything. My apologies.
Danganronpa.